Hi, and welcome to Truth with Ruth, a witty, warm, and real podcast about anything and everything health and fitness. I'm your host, Ruth Edwards, and I'm joined by
co-host Evan Edwards.
And in this episode, we are going to dive into information about the supplement known as creatine. So, have you heard that word before, creatine?
I know of it, but I don't know anything about it.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyways,
creatine.
That's all I know.
And I'm probably saying it with a southern accent, so I don't know how to say it faster. Creatine. Creatine. Okay. Anyway.
But didn't that guy in the airport have a bucket of it? Not bucket, but he brought like a container of it.
Yeah.
He brought like containers and containers of powdered supplements, and I think they looked at every single one of them.
Yes.
TSA.
So we just recently flew to New Mexico for vacation. And yes, so in our tiny little airport here, a guy was behind us. He clearly was a worker outer. Like he was very muscular and defined and on the bigger side of muscular. And yeah, he had a couple of big backpacks and he got pulled and he probably had at least 3 or 4 big containers of
different.
Yeah.
I'm sure one of them was creatine.
One of them was probably creatine. Then you probably had a protein powder and I don't know what else, but maybe electrolytes. And so I had electrolytes with us, but
not in a big old container.
No. But yeah, if you're going to go through security at the airport with a powdered substance, you just know you're going to get pulled because they need to know what that is. So anyway.
So, I mean, obviously that more muscular man was using or supplementing with creatine. What about like someone who doesn't work out, or just anybody
in general? Should you be supplementing with creatine? That's the question, right? Well, like I like to say, I don't know. It depends. So what we're going to do in this episode is get into the information about what you need to know so that you can make an informed, or the listeners can make an informed decision for themselves. You might also want to consult your physician, maybe depending on age or medical conditions. But this is not medical advice. Please be very mindful of that. But we're just going to get into the information that's available out there about creatine and what it is and why some people might consider supplementing with it. So, and this is a question I've received from some of my worker outers at the gym. They came to me and asked, are we supposed to be doing this? Are we supposed to be supplementing with creatine? And then there are some people on social media that I follow that they are pushing it as a product for you to buy. Mm-hmm. And through their code or their link.
So there's all different brands you can get it from.
Yes. So, like, who, what, why? That's what we're here to answer. So first, what is creatine? Creatine is well, let me say this. It is one of the most studied supplements, sports supplements in the world. So it has a lot of research and data on it. The current research through 2025 strongly suggests that creatine is generally safe and effective for most healthy adults. So listen to those key words there. Generally safe for most healthy adults. And what you're looking for, or what the 2 words are going to be, is creatine monohydrate. And that lets you know that's all it is creatine monohydrate, nothing else. It's not just for athletes, but most healthy adults, it does appear to be safe and effective. It has expanded, like I just said on social media, beyond muscle building into the areas of aging, cognition, and recovery. So that's I see quite a few people, middle-aged women, pushing like a drug dealer creatine on the TikTok or the Instagram and Facebook, and they're again, now they're getting a kickback. So that's why it's always asked, like, what are they getting out of promoting this product? And so, but I am seeing that in the middle-aged, perimenopause, menopausal women group. I am seeing it. You should be taking it. You should be taking it. And I don't know. Should you? You know, again, it's really an individual question. I'm not gonna make a blanket statement, but so here's what we know evidence-wise. So what creatine does. So creatine is stored in your muscles. It's stored as phosphocreatine. Again, I'm probably saying it with my southern drawl, but PHO creatine. And that helps to rapidly regenerate ATP. What is ATP? You might remember it from chemistry class. Might. Biology or chemistry class. But it's, and I'm going to butcher it, adenosine. I'm terrible. Sorry. Triphosphate. For my scientists, I'm so sorry. Anna Carter, I'm sorry. But ATP, adenosine triphosphate. I got that. That ATP. So now we'll just call it ATP. That is your cell's immediate energy source. Okay. So creatine is in your muscles and it helps regenerate your ATP, which is your cell's energy source. Got it?
Immediate energy source. The first one.
Yes. So where does that matter? That matters if you're getting you need to do something with a quick or short burst of effort. So resistance training, weightlifting, because you're quickly lifting something heavy. I mean, yeah, you might slow it down, but like you're still quickly lifting it. Sprinting, so fast running, high intensity interval training, and other power-based exercises, maybe plyometrics like jumping, and then just repeated sets in the gym. Okay, so that's what your cells are, they need that ATP, that energy source. Creatine that's already stored in your muscles helps replenish that ATP. If you supplement, so you add via probably your mouth, you usually mix it in a liquid. I do know people who, how do you say it? They like just
dry swallow.
Yeah, they just take the scoop and throw it in the back of their throat and chase it. No, thank you.
So, but they're still
chasing it with the liquid, but no, thank you. But I have seen people do it.
It's choking hazard.
Yeah, like dry, chalky. But when you supplement, it increases your muscle creatine stores 10 to 40% based on, just depending on your baseline levels. So what might it do? It might allow you to train harder for longer and then to recover better. So that's what research has shown us, that supplementing can increase that creatine that's stored in your muscle by about 10 to 40%, again, based on probably a lot of factors. So you might be able to train harder for longer and recover better. All right. So there is strong evidence that it does help you gain strength and muscle. So, but now that, like, you can't just take the supplement. You have to do the other work. So creatine, supplementing creatine plus resistance training consistently produces greater improvements than resistance training by itself. So this is where, so if any of the listeners are athletes, maybe they're bodybuilders, they're they want to, for some reason, increase their strength, like how much they can lift, or they want to increase their muscle mass, then the studies show that supplementing with creatine does seem to help with those strength and muscle gains. Does tend to increase strength gains, increases lean body mass, increases your training volume capacity. So you might be able to train a little longer or a little harder, and increases muscle hypertrophy over time. What is hypertrophy? It's the size, an increase in size of the muscle over time. It's not going to be immediate. Now, sometimes there's some initial weight gain. Okay. Is that from muscle mass? Well, probably not that fast. So sometimes the initial weight gain when you first start supplementing with it is because of water. So water retention being stored inside the muscle cells. It's not fat. You didn't just gain 2-3 pounds of fat because you started taking creatine, but you also didn't gain 2-3 pounds of muscle this week because you started supplementing creatine. It's probably water retention. But over weeks and months of supplementing with creatine, the increased training capacity is probably what contributes to the actual muscle growth. It's not the creatine by itself. It's that, I can do one more set, or I can sprint a little longer or a little farther. It's that now I have a little bit more of that ATP that enables me to go further or farther or harder or do another step. Okay, so getting into the research, meta-analysis finding that creatine can add about 2 to 5 pounds more lean mass than resistance training alone over the course of several months. So several to me means 3 or more. And in a bodybuilding cycle or resistance training cycle, that's about right. You're, we're talking, bodybuilders train all year long, but then they have different cuts and phases. But let's say, in 3 months, you're going to start noticing some differences if you're resistance training only. If you're also doing some other things, you might be a little bit quicker, but you need to give it, we've talked about this, 3 to 6 months at least. So 12 months probably to really see the differences. Okay, so that was like the actual muscle mass. Let's talk about performance. Well, will it help me perform better?
Can that also goes into like how long how long you're performing for?
Yeah. So it does seem to be supported for, so supplementing creatine would be supported for repeated explosive efforts. So such as sprinting, lifting weights, CrossFit style training, strength and conditioning would be another way to say that, but that style where you're doing some major lifts and then you're doing some what they call a metcon or metabolic conditioning, and that's usually high intensity. You're going really hard in the overall scheme of things, it's a short period of time, but it's exhausting. Like your brother does it, and they're like at the end of the 10-minute metcon. Okay, 10 minutes is really not that long, right? They are not really dead, but they're sprawled out on the floor in corpse pose, basically, and they're dead. I'm making air quotes, like they're done. They've got nothing else in the tank. And that was just a 10-minute metcon. Now, they have already done a heavy series of other lifts, probably very heavy, but still. Anyway, that's CrossFit style. Okay, intervals. So where you go hard or fast or high usually for a few seconds, and then rest for a few seconds. So some kind of intervals, or any other sport that requires those repeated bursts of energy. So that's what it's best supported for as far as performance. Supplementing with creatine does appear to be less useful or helpful for steady state endurance activities. What is that?
Tell me. I have no idea.
Like long distance running, or cycling or swimming. So your 10 milers, your marathoners, so that where they're just cranking it out for hours. Supplementing with creatine doesn't appear to be very useful for that. Now, some endurance athletes might benefit indirectly from it just because it'll help them get stronger or help them recover faster. But as far as it actually helping you through the 3 hours of running, probably not. Okay. Then I've already brought up this category, but women and adults over 40 to 50, so midlife, there is more and more strong evidence that it can be helpful to supplement with creatine. So more and more research is focusing on that group, so middle-aged adults and especially women, and that there are some potential benefits of supplementing with creatine, such as maintaining muscle mass, improving your strength response to resistance training, so your muscles actually grow in response to the resistance training, supporting that bone loading. So a lot of times we're strength training to increase our bone density, so helping support that so that we can continue to do what we need to do to increase our bone density, which helps counter the age-related muscle loss, which is called sarcopenia. So this is especially relevant because, gosh, after about age 30, you're rapidly losing muscle unless you are training to fight it or counteract it. So in this case, it does appear that supplementing with creatine as a middle-aged woman or man and resistance training, there is more and more evidence that is probably helpful. Again, go back to the very beginning, though, of generally safe and effective for most healthy adults. So if you've got any medical conditions, it would probably be worth conversation with your medical practitioner to, like, is this an okay supplement for me? Is there anything I should be looking out for? Another area of research is brain health, cognition, healthy cognition. So right now, it looks promising as a helpful supplement, but it doesn't have near as much data and research as it does for improving muscle mass. So why? Well, the brain uses a lot of energy, and creatine plays a role in the brain energy metabolism. So what we're seeing so far in the research is that there are some possible benefits for a lot of people as they age have trouble sleeping. So there's some possible benefits for that, to like counteract the cognitive decline due to lack of sleep. Possible benefits for mental fatigue, memory processing in some populations, and for vegetarians and vegans who often already have a lower creatine intake. So supplementing might be helpful for them. Now, again, just remember this evidence is growing, but it's not as definitive or at the same level as all the evidence related to exercise and muscle mass. Okay, so now let's talk about, you keep saying generally safe and effective, so what about safety? Right?
Yeah.
So Safety, and that's actually one of the questions that I got in the gym was, well, I heard that it's really bad for your kidneys. Okay. So that is the biggest concern that people seem to ask about, or they're worried about when it comes to creatine. So again, remember, listen for the words, key words here. The current evidence as of 2025 is saying that in healthy people, the recommended dosage of creatine has not been shown to damage kidneys. So that's promising. But again, in healthy people. So if you have any health issues, and most of us have at least one, then talk to your medical practitioner. So, and there's a kidney marker, and it's called creatinine. Okay, not creatine, creatinine. So there's an extra nine and N-I in there. Creatinine might raise slightly because the metabolism of creatine produces creatinine. And I'm exaggerating how to say that. And that could look concerning on blood work, but it does not necessarily indicate kidney damage. So again, that kidney marker creatinine might rise slightly, but it doesn't necessarily mean kidney damage. Okay, so in people with kidney disease or any kind of kidney impairment or some other medical conditions, they should definitely talk to their medical practitioner before supplementing with creatine. What about the liver? Because that's come up in conversation. Well, nope, there's no evidence whatsoever that creatine, supplementing with creatine, causes any liver damage in healthy people at standard dosages. So if you're not healthy, you've got something going on, or you try to double, triple the dosage thinking it's going to SpongeBob my muscles. Did you remember that episode? Then, it might damage your liver. Okay. But so does a lot of alcohol. So, I mean, choose wisely. Okay. I referenced the SpongeBob episode. Have we talked about that in here?
About SpongeBob?
Yeah, that episode.
I
don't remember. We might have on the strength. But okay, so just so the listeners are on the same page as us. So you and your brother would watch SpongeBob. And so then I ended up watching it a lot of afternoons with you guys. Well, as I'm walking back and forth and cleaning, cooking, things like that. But I just remembered this episode. So SpongeBob wanted to look like or be a bodybuilder. And I don't remember all the context, but he was having a hard time building his muscle mass and getting those strength gains. And so he cheated. I think there was a competition, I guess. So he cheated and he ordered this blow-up suit. And so he puts it on, blows it up, and now he's got the great big muscles. But, of course, it was only from the waist up. And I remember he got found out and deflated something. But if you see a bodybuilder who ignores leg day, I always think about that SpongeBob episode because they're really big up here, but then their legs are teeny tiny. So that just lets you know they don't like to do their leg day. But okay, anyway, back to creatine. So what about dehydration and cramps? So a while back, there were some concerns that using creatine, supplementing with that, caused dehydration, muscle cramps, and heat illness. Like that would be heat stroke, heat exhaustion. But this has largely been disproven. Large studies, including athletes training in heat, have not supported any correlation between creatine causing dehydration, cramping, or heat illness. Okay, what about weight gain, Ruth? You said that a few minutes ago. It is expected that you will gain about 2 to 5 pounds very, very early, when you first start supplementing with creatine, because of an increase in the water weight in your muscle. You should not gain fat.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's not going to make you hungry and make you eat more. It might help you lift more, or probably more sets. Not necessarily all of a sudden you can go walk in there and do a 50-pound bicep curl.
Mm-hmm.
Not like that. Not like SpongeBob. So, all right. So then, how do you take it? Like, what are the recommended dosages? All right. The simple, easiest, most straightforward way is to take it every day, once a day, 3 to 5 grams. That's creatine monohydrate. That's what you're looking for in the label. You don't need to cycle it. You don't need to skip days or skip weeks. Just simple daily dosing, 3 to 5 grams. Most of the time, the scoop that comes in the package is a 5-gram scoop. And what are the benefits? Well, you're going to gradually build the benefits, because the complete muscle saturation takes 3 to 4 weeks. So it's going to take almost a month for your muscle to hold on to that creatine, and now it's that saturated baseline. Another way to do it is what they call loading phase. It's an option. The common protocol is 20 grams a day. That would be four of those scoops, split into 4 doses for about a week, 5 to 7 days. Then, after that first initial week, you cut back to 3 to 5 grams a day. So, in other words, that's going to saturate the muscles a lot faster. But it can cause bloating and GI discomfort, and they're pretty likely that those will happen. It's not necessary. Like, I mean, if you're in a time crunch for some reason because you got some deadline, maybe, but it's the risk of bloating and GI discomfort, the side effects at such a high dosage, it's not worth it, because it's not really going to help that much. All right. Here's a really good question.
Okay. So what would be the best type to buy?
Yeah.
Because we know there's all sorts of different brands and maybe not types, but just brands that are appear to be selling the same thing.
Right. And so how do you know which one to pick? Are they all the same or are they different? All right. So you are looking for, I've already said it, but you're looking for creatine monohydrate. Nothing more, nothing less. All right. One time a girlfriend asked me, this was probably several years ago, she said, we're having trouble finding one that doesn't cause bloating and GI discomfort. I thought, that's really weird. I don't experience that. And she also said theirs didn't dissolve well in their liquid. And I was like, okay, that's really weird too. I've never had that either. So I don't know. That's strange to me. But you're on the label, there shouldn't be anything else in it. Creatine monohydrate. Other things you can look for on the label is that it's third-party tested. Maybe NSF, certified for sport, informed choice, USP. Those would be some labels you might look for, but third-party tested. You do not need creatine HCl, hydrochloride, buffered creatine, or any other fancy blend where it's creatine plus ABC, XYZ. And they have not demonstrated that they're superior in any form or fashion. So you just need plain and simple creatine monohydrate. Look for a product that's been third-party tested. And, if you go to a health food store, like the one that I go to here in our town, I trust her, and her choices of what she has on the shelf. I still look at the labels and I still read the packaging, but if she has it on the shelf, then I know like that's probably going to be one of those on the shelf is going to be my choice. So, and then there sometimes that's where I start, and then sometimes I end up ordering something from somewhere else. But anyway, that's sometimes if you don't know what brand to look for, go to your local health food store, and that's a place to start. Okay, there's another like, well, what about when? When do I take it? Do I take it before my workout? Do I take it after my workout? Do I do it during my workout? When am I supposed to do it? Well, research shows, I feel like Family Feud.
I don't think they've ever said research shows.
What does he say? Research says. Is that what he says?
I don't know.
He says research says.
I haven't seen it. I haven't watched it in forever.
Research says. Family Feud. Research says it doesn't matter. It's not a major factor. Yeah, so research says or shows that as far as the timing, should you do it before, during, or after, it's not a major factor. The biggest factor is taking it every day, so being consistent with it. Some research suggests that taking it with a meal containing carbs and protein might slightly improve the uptake, but what matters the most is consistency. So if you choose a time, doesn't matter, just do what works for you. That seems to be more important than if it's before, during, or after. All right, so we're winding it down or up, wrapping it up, winding it down, wrapping it up. Who should take creatine or who might consider? And so the research is especially compelling that the people who might want to consider taking creatine is people lifting weights or resistance training, and that should be everybody. People doing high intensity interval training or other types of interval training, adults who are trying to preserve muscle mass as they age, people who tend to have low dietary creatine intakes, such as vegans or vegetarians, and people who are training hard but want to have better recovery capacity. So those are the people who might strongly consider supplementing with creatine. Who should not supplement with creatine? Well, if you have kidney disease, unexplained abnormal kidney labs, pregnancy, breastfeeding, because there's insufficient evidence for that, and if you take any medications that affect kidney function. And so just as kind of a general word of suggestion is I don't care what you got going on, I still think you should have the discussion with your medical practitioner about, hey, is that an okay choice for me? So the bottom line, again, to start wrapping it up and winding it down, the current research does support creatine monohydrate 3 to 5 grams per day as one of the safest and most effective performance supplements available. The strongest evidence is for strength, muscle, and exercise capacity, with emerging evidence for healthy aging and cognitive benefits. So if you're someone who does regular strength training and exercise, especially in midlife and beyond, creatine is one of the few supplements on the market where the evidence is genuinely strong and it's not just marketing. Now, I think, so should you run to Instagram and go hit the order button on that creatine supplement that your favorite Bible study leader is promoting? Or I don't know, I say no. Go to your local health food or supplement store and ask them. I mean, if you've already talked to your practitioner, it sounds like it's okay for you to take, then your practitioner might have some suggestions of brands. And then next step would be your local health food, natural food supplement store, preferably not a chain, and it just depends on where you live, and ask them, to get a feel for what seem to be the best brands. Because for some reason, and I don't know why, because if it's just straight creatine monohydrate, why do some of them dissolve well and some of them don't? I don't know. I don't have an answer to that, and I haven't found an answer to that. So that might, maybe you ask some people who know, like, the one I got doesn't dissolve. I don't know, because if it's just straight creatine monohydrate, it should be dissolving. So, yeah, don't get a blend, don't get the buffered, don't get the hydrochloride, just monohydrate. So, now you know all about creatine.
I sure do.
Whether you want to or not. So, hopefully, well, let me ask you, does that sound like it answers the question for listeners? If they, like, I keep seeing these ads, should I, shouldn't I? Is there anything we missed?
Not that I think.
Okay. All right. Well, hopefully that will help you make the best decision. An informed decision about whether or not you might consider supplementing with creatine monohydrate.
Yes.
So, if you have any questions, you can send them to me. You can get to me through my website, which is truthwithruth.pod. No, truthwithruth.com. Yikes. It's so many things to remember. Maybe I need to supplement with creatine to help with my cognitive function. So, and where else?
Instagram is truthwithruth.pod.
That's the one that's .pod.
So that's Instagram and website, but then YouTube, and Spotify and Apple is where you can listen to this podcast. Share it, like it, give it 5 stars, and then on Patreon at Reignite Health and Fitness is where you can find Ruth's workout videos and some of our extra things that we put out sometimes that may relate to the podcasts we have put out.
Different health and fitness topics. There's some free resources there. So, and then there's some also options to like pay for a workout video if you'd like to help support us and keep the lights on. So, yeah. But thanks for joining us for this episode about creatine. And until next time, you're going to fight for your health.